welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo, and it's great to be back on the show again. You know how some quotes just hit you so hard, they're so powerful and make you think. I saw this in this book I'm holding. It's titled King of My Gifts. You'll be learning more about this book on this show later on. But here's the quote. We have often been told, you get out of life who you become, not what you have. Why do we focus so much on what we have? Drive a big car, build a big house, wear these shoes, wear those clothes, and so on, the kind of certificates you have. But it's really who you become when it comes right down to it. It's who you become that matters. Now, I've read this from this book titled King of My Gifts by Dr. Oyinkansola Jinadu, who is our guest today. You know, one of the most important things that we can teach our children is for them to understand that every human being has a gift, or you might want to call it a talent. There's something that God has put into every one of us. Everybody is special. And it's not just children that need to understand that. It's you and I, it's all of us. We need to understand that there's something special in us. And if we can just focus on finding that special thing and developing it and using it to bless other people, then life will be very, very fulfilling. We all need to do that. King of My Gifts talks a lot about that and more. And, you know, I like when authors or publishers diversify a lot. You take one idea, turn it into a book. That same book can be turned into a movie, can be turned into DVDs, can be turned into workshops and training programs, and can be turned into toys and all sorts of things, and can also be turned into a workbook. What this author has done with her book, King of My Gifts, is to have a workbook version of it. And the workbook is so thought-provoking. I mean, you go through it and you begin to try to answer questions like Module 1, let's talk about my gifts. You try to answer questions like, how can I explain my gifts? What are my biggest accomplishments? What do I like about my gifts? What bothers me about my gifts? What are my favorite gifts? What I love about my gifts? What are the things I need to work on about my gifts? What are my dreams? So you think about all these things. What do I understand by gifts? You think about all these questions and then you write down your answers. It's what you do when you have time for yourself. We need to have time for ourselves to get to know ourselves. Remember that old sage that said, man, know thyself. That's the first thing you do if you want to be successful. You know who you are. Well, I'm going to leave Dr. Oyinkansola Jinadu to talk more about that. But first of all, let's get to meet with her and then enjoy the conversation we had.
Oyinkansola Jinadu is the founder of the Honey Drops Foundation, a 501c3 non-profit organization, and a veteran educator with Dallas ISD. Jinadu owns and runs multiple businesses under Honey Drops Pro Inc. in multiple industries including beauty, med spa, consulting, education, real estate, and construction. She's an experienced public speaker, corporate trainer, and a talk show host of Dr. OJ Speaks. Jinadu is the author of the book Living Beyond the Norm from the Bottom Up, and on today's episode of Channels Book Club, she discusses her most recent book titled King of My Gifts.
Dr. O, that's what your friends call you?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not your friend, right?
Are you my friend?
Hopefully.
Yes, you are, Mr. Kasumo.
Dr. O.
Yes, sir.
Great to have you on Channels Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here.
I'm so excited.
Now, you are in Nigeria at the moment.
Yes, sir.
But you reside in Dallas, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I do.
How is Dallas with the coronavirus and then the new Omicron thing? And
So it's I mean, just like any microorganism, because my background is in microbiology. I feel like just like any microorganism, it will evolve, it will adapt, and that's what's happening. And different variants in different environments will make that, possible. And that's why we're having all these variations. So I guess I can say we're doing well so far, but there has been, of course, incidences that continue to rise. So we're always taking precautions. Now, there's a mandate to take the vaccine, and everyone is, it's just the way the world is.
Yeah, the things have really changed.
They have really changed.
In the last 24 months, 2 years, thereabouts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Great. Well, let's talk about you and your book now.
Yay, yes.
King of My Gifts.
Yes.
That's a lovely title.
Thank you.
What inspired this book? And can you kindly explain the title? Because when I saw the title, I got thinking until I dug into the book.
Yes.
But the title is intriguing. King of My Gifts. What inspired it, and what's the title about?
So King of My Gifts was inspired by my personal journey. And it didn't just come to me overnight, because when I started to think about several different things that was going on in my life, it was at a very low point. I had just come out of a divorce, and I was starting over after so many years. Now, when I say starting over, it's weird because I had 3 kids who I had to take care of, and several different things that I had to sort of manage in my life, and it was really bad trying to navigate that by myself. And over the years, I have been someone who, I'm such a creative person. I have dabbled into so many different things, so many different interests, so many different businesses. I'm just a doer, and I have been going. But after many years living in the United States, starting a family, having great ambition, having such amazing talent, everybody's like, you're so hardworking, you're so talented. And they tell you all of these amazing things about yourself, but you're looking at the results you're producing, and you're like, I don't get it. It's not adding up. Why is that not adding up? And it occurred to me that I was really just chasing my own shadows. And I had to come to a place of understanding what it is that I need to focus on. I lacked focus. And that realization came at my lowest point. So that was when I started this journey, and I began to understand that the one thing that I had taken for granted the whole time since I was like less than 2 years old. My mom says, you talk so much, you talk too much. She's always talking. She started talking earlier, everyone in the family, and it was always like, stop talking. And that was the one thing that I knew that I could do so well. And I was really, really good at. And that was the turning point for me. So of all the things that I could do that I had mastered, academically, I had become a PhD holder. I was a doctor. I had several businesses that I had started. I had several ventures. I had such great ideas that I was already implementing. Speaking was the one thing that I knew that I used in all those things. And that is when it came to me to write this book and kind of chronicle my journey. And maybe just after I started the book, the title came, King of My Gifts. It is the king of all my gifts because I have so many gifts. So many, honestly, so many.
Now, so many things to pick up from everything you've just said right now, but I'll take them one by one.
Yes, sir.
First of all, it appears to me like when we are at the lowest points in our lives, good often come out. I've spoken to a lot of authors, and I've read great books that were written at the time they had major problems, major challenges in their lives. This is your experience, as you've just narrated right now. There was a low point in your life, and that was when this book was birthed.
Yes, sir.
What was it like for you writing it at that point in your life? I know when you are writing, you have to think about things that have happened, things that are happening at the moment, and then you've got to deal with all those emotions and all those memories. And then...
Because I was a person of faith, for me, that was the time when I felt like the noise had to stop. I had come to the end of myself. and my faith being in existence, and that was the only thing I could really hold on to that seemed tangible at the time. And I know that that was when God began to show me, because I was now asking the right questions. I was going, I thought I had it all figured out. You know, I'm living life like it's golden. I have all these degrees, I have all this potential, I have all this attention, I can connect myself, I can do this, I can do that. But when you get to the low point and it's like, in spite of all the things that you think you are, have, can, do, be, and it all just doesn't work, you have to tap into something beyond yourself. And for me, that was my faith in God. And that's where the message for my book came. And it wasn't even just about a book. It was just about my journey. It was the things I was going through. It was the fact that I was in such a difficult place that when I would read the Bible, I would liken my story to the story of Joseph. And I would tell God, I'm like, I don't want to go in the pit. I don't want to go into that really, really dark place. I don't want to have to spend 23 years in a prison. Not even a prison like he was, a proverbial prison of life where you're like just stuck before I get to my castle or my palace. So I found so many relations with so many characters in the Bible, and I would always tell God, okay, I can see like something similar in my life in this person's story, but I don't want that. I don't want that. That seems too hard. Help me figure it out quicker. I'm ready to learn.
Interesting. Now, king of my gifts.
Yes.
So, are you saying everybody has multiple gifts, but there's a need to find out the primary gift, the most important, the most outstanding gift?
For us to thrive in life, you know, to each gifts are given. God, based on your capacity, and honestly, people assume that capacity is something that you're born with. We're all born with a measure of something. I don't know what that is for everybody. But over time, a percentage of humans figure out a way to develop their capacity and grow. And with your growth and your intentionality and the disciplines you cultivate to increase your capacity, I feel like more things are added onto your plate over time. However, there's one thing that we're all uniquely made for. We're all uniquely made to express. One thing that is, in fact, undebatable in my opinion.
Undebatable.
Undebatable in my opinion. Like everybody has that one thing.
Everybody.
Every single human. One thing. But some of us have grown our capacity out to where that one thing finds expression in other things. So when we begin to express in those other areas, and we're so actively moving in life, and of course with the world we're living in being so fast-paced, a lot of people get distracted from the one thing. And they begin to focus on the lesser things. And that diminishes the productivity, diminishes how much results you can actually produce in life. And that's what sets you apart from being an Oprah to being just another TV presenter, or being, let me say, a Steve Jobs, rest his soul, to being just a Microsoft engineer sitting somewhere behind a desk. Because the people who stand out in life, who have figured out that one thing, they focused on that one thing, even though they could do so many other things. And not to say they don't, they do. But the one thing always, always takes precedence over those other things.
You wrote in here that when you don't identify or understand
Yes.
or develop the king of your gifts, in more ways than one, you explain that you sort of live a mediocre life.
Yes.
That's what happens, right?
Yes. So it's just like, rather than sitting on a throne, you always end up serving. You always been subservient to things that you're supposed to reign over. You know, some people are made to, everybody's made to rule in something.
Everybody.
Everybody. And we always try, because society has given us these standards of whatever it is that they expect us to be or to do. Like, we grew up in Nigeria and our parents expect us to either be a doctor. Of course, when I got my PhD, my mom was like, oh, at least you're a doctor, you know? That was checked off her book, and she was very happy. I was like, Mom, no, you're missing the point. You know, it's just a matter of understanding that whatever it is that God has given you, you have the ability to reign in life with it. And if you do not figure it out for the extent of your life, however long or short it is, you're just always going to realize that you half-assed it. You just kind of shortchanged yourself from living the full life. So if you were supposed to be the best hair maker in the world and you decided to do something other than that just because you felt it wasn't at the status, or you decided to go be a doctor just because you felt like hair making is not at the standard or the status of a doctor, you have really shortchanged yourself.
So it really doesn't matter the profession.
No, it's not about profession.
Or the area, or the skill area, if I may use that expression.
Yes.
It's about you.
Yes.
Is that, are you called out for that?
Yes.
Is that the king of your gifts?
Yes.
That's what matters.
Yes, sir.
Now, so what are we going to find in this book? What somebody out there is watching, we've already said a lot.
Yes.
But can you just run through King of My Gifts, the book?
So in the book, you're going to start from the beginning where there's going to be a lot of storytelling and analogies from the Bible where I draw reference to my life and the journey that some of these Bible characters had to take. You're going to find an analogy in the story of how kingdoms are made. So kind of drawing from the, let me say, the monarchy of kings and kingdoms, which is what a lot of great nations are built on. And I feel like that is how God intended for us before we started our democratic process. And, you know, like God told the Israelites and said, now you want a king for yourself? Go get you a king and see how that works out. You know, so I kind of took I will take the reader on this journey of seeing how your life starts and how it evolves over time, and how you can find a parallel with things that have already been, because there's nothing new under the sun. So the concept of my book is not novel. It's not like, whoo, this is a brand new invention. No, it's not. It was just my aha moment. And everybody gets their aha moment at a different time. So I journeyed through having a broken marriage, having a broken life, and coming to the realization that I really needed to get back to what it is that I'm supposed to be doing in life, and fulfilling my purpose, and understanding that my purpose in life transcends anything else that I would ever accomplish. So, and I take it to the end where I'll actually provide actionable steps that you can take to begin your own personal journey. Things and tools and strategies that I have adopted that you can also adopt. So there's something in there for you to enjoy a good read, and there's something in there for you to take away that would actually add value to your life.
Interesting. King of My Gifts. You know, a lot of people out there don't believe they are special.
I know.
Is that an observation you've made?
It's true.
You know, I mean, we've got billions of people on our planet.
Yes.
There are very few people who really believe they are special, who really believe. And oftentimes, people don't believe they are special because life has knocked them down so many times. They've suffered, they've struggled for years and years, and they look at themselves, there's nothing special in there. Now, reading your book reminded me of how special everybody is.
Yes.
Because one of the things you emphasized here is that everybody has, one, gifts, and then two, everybody has a king of
Their gifts.
the gifts.
Yes.
Were you trying to drive on that
I was
truth?
trying to drive home that point exactly. And the fact is, everyone has value. And everyone has some type of value to add to the world. And if there was this world where we could all come to that realization or have that awareness and added that value on a daily basis from our place of uniqueness, I believe that the ideal world will be formed at that time. You know, when the Bible talks about, a new world will come, I honestly think that in that new world that God is talking about, that's going to be a world where we all reign in dominion with the King of our gifts. That is when people would actually be able to be their true self, void of all of the negativity. And granted, we live in a fallen world, so it cannot be helped. So I think books like this are necessary for people who have gotten the light bulb turning on for them, to help other people turn on that light bulb as well. Because like you said, so many people don't see the uniqueness in themselves. They don't even know that they have any value to add to the world. They just feel like, oh, I'm just here. I'm just going to be me. I'm just this person. I'm just that person. And we realize that it's just a matter of how the world has shaped us, nature versus nurture. Environment has, some people come into the world in such unfortunate environments that we cannot but understand. But still, we all have value to add. And I feel it's important for each one teach one. And this is my own contribution to say, I'm going to use my story to teach you that you absolutely have something unique within you to add to the world.
Lots of faith issues in here, spiritual faith issues, but also lots of economic perspectives here. One question I wanted to ask you as I read this is she saying that people are broke or poor because they've not yet discovered their gifts and they've not yet maximized their gifts?
It's very possible.
Were you saying that? I mean, there was nowhere where you actually wrote that.
Said that, yes.
Yeah, but I said I was going to ask you.
It is.
Does that not oversimplify life?
It doesn't. It does oversimplify, and that's why I was very careful not to state it out in that way. But I was also very mindful to go against the grain to say, honestly, in reality, yes, we can all sit down every day and find so many things to complain about, regardless of your geographical location. People assume that geography will automatically solve their problem, but we can all do that. Everybody has something to gripe and whine about. However, everybody has something that they can be extremely grateful for and begin to use that to do something for themselves and the world around them. That's the truth. For the longest time, I wanted presence and visibility. And when I didn't get it, I created my own platform. I created my own stage out of nothing, out of my home. I started my talk show. I just started to do it. And then I started to build it. Not to say that I'm saying this to say, oh, I did it, so you do it. But the reality of the matter is, once you come into that awareness and your spirit awakens, I tell you, nothing can stop you. But a lot of people, their spirit is asleep. They haven't come into the awareness. So it doesn't even matter how much you say it or which way you say it. Even if I say directly that you're poor because you're not expressing your gifts, they're still going to look at me crazy. Or if I say it in a nice way, they're still going to look at me sideways, right? But once a man becomes aware, nothing can stop the spirit of a man that is fully aware of who he is. I tell you, nothing.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Unfortunately, we don't have more time. Dr. O.
Yes, sir.
Now I know that's the king of your gifts.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you so much for having me, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kasimo. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Great to have you here.
Yes, sir.
Well, that was very rich, isn't it? It's a book that's I really enjoyed reading. And that conversation, as you watched and listened, it was so packed full. Dr. Jinadu has so much in her to offer all of us. Now, get yourself a copy of this book, King of My Gifts, read it, and then think about what your gifts are. Think about what the king of your gifts is, and then begin to live it. This is where we have to round up on the show today. As always, we'll be very happy to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Oyinkansola. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.